Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content.
Hey everybody, hey everybody, hey everybody. This is HQ in the house. This is HQ in the house. Right? Everybody see the thumbnail? This is about the TP USA. And underneath that banner, it says non-racist or unracist people are responsible for the racist people. And this is something that I truly do, and it's something that I hate to address. I hate to address it. But you always have to call it out when you see it because it never goes away. It just never does go away. Because racism did not fall out of the sky, and that did not begin because people with different skin tone didn't like each other. Racism was created deliberately. It was invented as a tool. Because when those European colonizers needed cheap labor and land, they needed a story that would allow them to enslave Africans, steal indigenous land, and still see themselves as moral and civilized and upright, forthright. That story became race. Skin color was turned into a ranking system. Whiteness was made valuable, and everyone else was made disposable. This was not an accident. It was a design. So hold on. This is why. So we're going to hear a story. And this is what I mean by the non-white racist people. It is the time for them to be the one to start standing up and saying they do not want to see this anymore. They did not want to see any of this anymore. See, when slavery ended, racism did not end. It simply changed its whereabouts or its clothing or its skin. Jim Crow replaced the chains that were there. Segregation replaced plantations. Redlining replaced ownership. Policing replaced patrols. The system learned how to operate without always saying the word race out loud. And because of that, many people today believe racism is over simply because it's quieter or more polite than it used to be. This is where non-racist white people come into the story. Many white people today genuinely do not believe in racial superiority. I believe that. They do not support violence or hate. They would never describe themselves as racist. And in many cases, they are telling the truth. But racism does not require active hatred to flourish or thrive. It requires permission, and permission often looks like silence. Non-racist white people are often taught that being good means being agreeable. Don't rock the boat. Don't cause tension. Don't make people uncomfortable, especially people who look like you. There's a powerful social pressure to prioritize harmony over honesty, to keep things smooth, even when they're unfair, to stay quiet, even when something is wrong. But silence is harm. Keep going. I got to do it like this, guys, because I don't know how to do it no better. This is where the silence comes in. The silence is neutral. Is not neutral. I'm sorry. Silence does not stop harming folks. Silence protects racists. So when racist jokes are ignored, they are normalized. When discriminatory policies are excused, they are reinforced. When unequal outcomes are noticed but not challenged, they become permanent. Every time someone says nothing because they don't want to be awkward or disagreeable, the system hears a yes or a compliance. Racism does not depend on the hooded figures, the hooded white figures, or slurs, the N word shouted in the street. It depends on meetings where no one speaks up. It depends on family gatherings when comments go unchallenged. It depends on workplaces where bias is obvious but it's ignored. It depends on voting habits that prioritize comfort over justice. It survives because non-racist people choose not to interfere where they have the most influence. And that influence matters. Non-racist white people often have access to spaces where racism is shaped and protected and flourished. They sit at tables where decisions are made. They are believed more easily. They're given the benefit of the doubt. They are seen as reasonable, neutral, and safe. When they speak, it carries weight. When they stay silent, that silence carries even more weight. Told you I always got to do this, y'all.
About
I'm real sick of hearing people say to make America great again, because that word again means go back to the 50s, which was real good for white men, but wasn't worth a damn for people of color and women. You need to know that, and that's what this fool wants us to do. And when you hear his mentor say, we're going to deconstruct the government, deconstruct the government, take away the things that are valuable for all of us, no, you cannot allow this to happen. You have to realize that deconstruct the government means take away Social Security. And how many people do you know who are making enough money, who could put money away, and we need to fix it now. But first you have to recognize what it is. You have to recognize that racism is ignorance. It is pure, unadulterated ignorance. And I don't care whether you're a red racist or a white one or a black one or a yellow one or a brown one. If you're a racist, you're not thinking. And you're being ignorant. Get over it.
White people were completely against interracial marriage and also specifically baby making is because the baby making debunked the whole foundation of their racism against black people. The argument was that these black people weren't human, they weren't even subhuman, they were animals meant to be treated as such. That's why their teeth were reused, their hair were reused, like literally they were treated not just as working cattle to perform labor, but also that's why they were eaten. And as disgusting as that is to think about, that is why when white people and black people started having intercourse, forcibly or not forcibly, the fact that a baby came from that proved that these black people who were being painted to be animals and oh, they're savages, they were just as human as us. You cannot procreate with a pig. You cannot procreate with a dog. You cannot take a dog and a cat and make them come together. Nature, which is above our human egoic laws, nature says that's not going to work. These two things are not the same. But when two things come together and do that and can make a baby, that shows you that they are one of the same. That is why they being racist white people, were so against interracial marriage, specifically baby making, because it debunked the whole racist ideology that they were building.
Do you want to know why white people are racist? It's because Western society, and specifically English, I want to say Germany too, but US right now, obviously, is still the education system. It's the best. Best of the best. It brainwashes kids at a very young age to do anything in the world. And it brainwashes innocent white people to be racist. And that's why we have crazy people out there. Like extreme hatred, and they're so right. They believe they are bringing Jesus to people, for God's sake. And Jesus is not even white. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, that's why. It's sad because we, as human beings, we don't have hate in our heart. We don't have that. We're not born with that. We are people. There's only one race, the human race.
Though it may be shocking, a lot of racists genuinely believe they are good people, and here are the top 5 ways they try to convince themselves it's true. Number 1, when they're called out, instead of taking accountability for their actions, they simply blame the person who accused them. They didn't do anything wrong. In fact, the other people are being sensitive and they are a good person, so therefore they can't possibly say anything racist. Number 2, by leaning heavily into cognitive dissonance. If you don't know, cognitive dissonance is when you have 2 conflicting beliefs and that creates discomfort in someone. So they have to either change one of their 2 beliefs so that they can coexist without the person feeling overwhelmed. So instead of being like, oh, I am racist, I should stop being racist, they're like, oh, actually, I am a good person and what I said wasn't racist, so that they can balance it out. Number 3, by leaning on their racist friends for validation. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Number 4, by blaming woke culture as a whole for the reason that they have been called out, because they couldn't possibly do anything wrong. It must be a societal problem. And number 5, by playing into the reverse racism myth. Not only am I not racist, but actually you are being racist to me as a white person, because that is the real problem in society. Bye.
I grew up a racist, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I fell counterpart to the town I grew up in, where it's funny to say racist jokes and just be racist. It's funny. Well, I grew up because it was ignorant, and I wish so many more people could realize you don't have to continue being racist.
If you are white and live in the United States, you're probably a racist. I am. Most people don't want to be racist, but science has proven that most white people have an implicit bias against people of color. In fact, since you were a very young white person, you were fed negative stereotypes. Good guys wear white hats, bad guys wear black hats, and on and on. That's why implicit racial bias is built into our society. That's why unarmed black men are shot by police more often than unarmed white men. It's why the white guy gets the job over a black person with the same qualifications. Even if you say, I voted for Obama, or I have lots of black friends, yep, you're probably still racist, because your subconscious has trained you to be that way. And if you're asking yourself the question, am I a racist? You probably are. And if you say, I'm not a racist, you most certainly are. Here's how I discovered I was a racist.
All right, Token, give me a smooth bass line. I don't know how to play bass. Token, how many times do we have to go through this? You're black, you can play bass. I'm getting sick of your stereotypes. Be as sick as you want, just give me a goddamn bass line. God damn it.
That's right, all black people do not play the bass, but that hasn't stopped me from thinking it and occasionally asking. So stop asking yourself, am I a racist? And start asking, what can I do to stop the racism I see in the world? And get off my
I
lawn.
want this account to be open to conversation. So I kind of doubt it's going to actually make it to the people I want it to make it to. But I want to ask racist people, I want to ask them why they're racist. Because this sounds kind of like a dumb question, but like, I grew up learning to love people, like, especially as a person of color. I didn't grow up to hate people based off their race. So it's hard for me to comprehend, but I want to understand, like, why do people feel the way they feel about certain, like, races or, like, people of color? Like, why do you feel, like, I don't know. I don't even know, like, I just want to know why. Like, where does it...
Deal with it. It's pattern recognition, man. It comes from somewhere. You gotta accept accountability.
Everything she said is 100% correct. There's literally college courses saying that they need to dismantle whiteness and that all white people are colonizers. and that they should apologize for just being white and pay black people reparations, even if they themselves never owned slaves or their families ever owned slaves. And some black people even believe even if their ancestors weren't slaves, they deserve reparations. We're told this isn't our country, that we're on, stolen land, and that we should go back to Europe. But when you go to Europe, they say that that's not our land either. Just look at what's happening in Britain. The #1 name in the UK is Muhammad. They say Europe shouldn't be majority white, America shouldn't be majority white, when in the world, whites are the minority. We're about 8 to 12% of the world's population. So everywhere we go, they say that we're evil, that we don't belong, that, you participated in conquest and slavery, so therefore you're all evil. And they completely forget the fact that their races, their ancestors have all done the same things, have done wars, have participated in slavery, have done evil things. And when white people say, oh man, let's just all be equal, let's all work together, and then you have black people or people of color come up to us and they say, no man, we don't want to coexist, we don't want to be equal because of Jim Crow, because of slavery, because of what your people did to our people. And they slap our hand away and say, you know what, no, we don't accept your apology, even though we shouldn't apologize for what we didn't do. And they say, you should give the land back, you should give us money, you should give us this, that, and the other. So yes, there can never be true equality or peace unless we come out and say enough is enough. Black people need to drop slavery, drop Jim Crow, drop all this stuff, and stop blaming white people who had nothing to do with it for everything. And we can work together, or the cycle is just going to keep on repeating, and there will be more resentment.
If the worst thing you've ever been called in your life is a Karen, you're in great shape.
No.
You are in great shape.
No.
Do you know what we're called?
People want to come and kill us because we do this work.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to like your hurt feelings. Awesome. People want to come and kill
I don't
us.
have hurt feelings.
Yeah, you do. You came on here and started crying.
I was crying about the situation and my grandmother. Yes, I got emotional. Doesn't mean to me I'm racist and I'm a Karen because I'm crying. I'm just genuinely
You're centering yourself because that's what white women tears do.
Your feelings onto me.
I'm sorry. I have a quick, serious question. If the goal is to honestly, change the way white women perceive and act and the way we are, why are you going about it so aggressively? Why can't you come to white women and have an open dialogue, but in a positive way?
Well, at the time of this taping, which is right now, being nice hasn't ended racism.
Thank you.
And, I'm real sick of hearing people say, to make America great again, because that word again means go back to the 50s, which was real good for white men, but wasn't worth a damn for people of color and women. You need to know that, and that's what this fool wants us to do. And when you hear his mentor say, we're going to deconstruct the government, deconstruct the government, take away the things that are valuable for all of us, no, you cannot allow this to happen. You have to realize that deconstruct the government means take away Social Security. And how many people do you know who are making enough money, who could put money away, and we need to fix it now. But first you have to recognize what it is. You have to recognize that racism is ignorance. It is pure, unadulterated ignorance. And I don't care whether you're a red racist, or a white one, or a black one, or a yellow one, or a brown one. If you're a racist, you're not thinking. And you're being ignorant. Get over it.
But if you've ever wondered why Trump supporters, racist in general, decide to stay anonymous, this comment is the perfect reason. Let's do some math, but first, let's look at the definition of something. Exonerations. The action of officially absolving someone from blame. Vindication. For the slow racist out there, so all the racist, it just means that when you are accused of something that you did not commit, and then you are found to be innocent, you are exonerated. You're vindicated. And who is accused of crimes they did not commit more than anybody else in this country? Oh my God, it's black people. 61% to be exact. Now, if you know math, you'll be able to put 2 and 2 together. If people are overwhelmingly exonerated from crimes, that must mean that people are also overwhelmingly accused of crimes they did not commit. Now, I'm fully aware that racists will not accept the reality that they are racist. that they are the problem. So they will not share a video like this. They will just continue to say the racist things they continue to say. And even though you may not be the smartest person, you are smart for staying anonymous because you are very embarrassing. And very racist, of course. But you have a good day.
They're taking immigrants off the street. Immigrants commit less crime than naturalized born American citizens.
They're bringing fentanyl over, they're raping people. I don't know if they're...
Not more than white Americans.
But they're contributing, you know?
But less than white Americans. And there's a video that came out yesterday. 2 ICE officers laying on somebody and had him pinned to the ground. He even pulls out his pistol, aims it at the protesters.
That was Antifa, and it was in Portland.
It was Antifa. That was an ICE officer.
I mean, people who rape, they're going to jail.
Have you seen? 99% of people who rape people don't go to jail. That's just like statistics about sexual assault. And if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but it's in the 90s.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's 99%. I'm put on the screen, 99% right there.
All right.
Pretty sure, but you support ICE.
There's issues on 100%, yeah. Okay. Why wouldn't I? But you want people who are smuggling drugs over the country, raping children, committing crimes and violence. You want them on the street with you? Just
the majority, around 50% of all the people who have been detained by ICE do not have a conviction, do not have a single criminal conviction.
Majority, but it still means millions are. Millions, yeah.
You know how many people he's picked up?
A lot.
Not in the millions whatsoever. So let's think about this theoretically, right? If 50% of all people who are picked up by ICE have no criminal conviction,
I mean 50 are. So it's a win.
That's that you're not passing class. You're not graduating from college with that conviction rate. That's horrible.
No, they're looking for people who are raping people.
But like I said, 1 in 2 people don't have a single criminal conviction, including rape, including assault, including any other criminal conviction. Not a single one.
What's your opinion on racism?
I'm actually racist.
Yeah. So then go. Move back to wherever
Redacted.
You're from. I think it's free to move to the UK or Ireland or wherever. Just go. So easy. Go home. It actually solves 2 of your problems because 1, you can have a king back, and 2, you don't have to deal with all these other people that are so scary.
Do you want to know why white people are racist? It's because Western society, and specifically English, I want to say Germany too, but US right now, obviously.
That's why their teeth were reused.
Here's how I discovered
smart people don't like me. And y'all went, yeah! Trump!
Only actually shows their mediocrity in full vision. There's no hiding it anymore. When there was an affirmative action at DEI, they could blame that for their own lack of success. They could blame brown people or the one trans kid playing soccer somewhere in outer Slovenia where they've never been and that they'll never meet. They can say, well, that kid playing soccer, that's the reason that I don't have what I want. If only that trans kid that's good as a footballer, if only they didn't exist, maybe I'd have the things I want. If only that H-1B visa guy from India or Bangladesh didn't have that job in Silicon Valley, I'd have it. Me in Sheboygan, that does not know how to program. I have no skills in this matter, but I would have that job. It's them that made me. I don't have a 6-figure Silicon Valley salary because of the brown Pakistanis. It's them. They say Pakistani. It's their fault. But when you start like abusing those people and those people start leaving, and by the way, we are having a crisis in tourists not coming here. The new requirement, 5 years of your email history, your social media history, references, or pay $1 million, $2 million, and people are just not coming. Our tourism is in the toilet right now.
So the law firm America First Legal is apparently trying to get an investigation into Penguin Random House's employment practices. Yeah, Penguin Random House is the book publisher. They're stating that there's unlawful race and sex employment practices going on there. Specifically in their claim, it says that they discriminate against white men. For the people who didn't want DEI, you seem to be crying a lot about it. I would love to see where this investigation goes. In the letter, they encouraged white males to come forward with claims of discrimination. Can't wait to see what these look like. Straight up gonna be like, I was told to listen and not lead. Like, I was told to listen to a woman in a meeting, and I wasn't allowed to re-explain it louder. Gonna be like, I applied for this job, and they asked if I could work in a diverse team. As a white man, I feel personally attacked.
Donald Trump is being treated with. This is a masterclass in white privilege. Trump can't say enough to be racist. Correct. He can't commit enough crimes to be a criminal. He can't fail enough to be a failure. And he can't say enough stupid things to be stupid. He is so shielded and insulated by the idea and the concept of whiteness that he is unfucking touchable. Yeah. The thought conjured around him matters more than any reality. Any reality. He is a Christian that doesn't know the Bible, that fucks porn stars, that grabs women by the pussy, is the least Christ-like, but the sheer promise of the whiteness that exists inside of Donald Trump is enough for everyone, white and black people, a lot of them who worship whiteness and aspire to the level of whiteness that Trump has. It's enough for them to say, hey, he's still our guy, no matter what. It's the whiteness he guarantees to protect. That's what he represents, right? It's their being that he guarantees to protect. And that's true. That's something that they won't say, but that they're voting for. Singular.
Why so pessimistic, my friend? Could it be that you know what's in your own heart and you're just projecting that onto other people? You wrote, you will never defeat racism. In order to defeat racism, you would need to get everyone to stop being racist, not just white people. Good luck with that. You won't know true racism until you go to a non-white country. There's a whole lot that you're saying here, but I'm just going to focus on a couple things real quick. What if I were talking about homelessness? Would you say you're never going to eradicate homelessness, so why bother trying? My hunch is you wouldn't. Why is it then, do you think your response to me talking about racism was to say that it'll never be defeated, so why bother trying? And then to take it a step further, you said that I would need to get non-white people to stop being racist. Now, I'm confident that you won't agree with me when I say that there's no such thing as reverse racism. So instead of trying to prove it to you and to go through a list of reasons about why you're wrong, I'll just say this. White people invented the concept of race and whiteness, which means that white people invented racism. Therefore, as a white man, I'm talking to other white people about dismantling the thing that white people create.
Is watching white people defend each other's racism, whether they know each other or not. It's like an unspoken code that exists where if a white person says something racist, you just jump to their defense, even if they actually were being racist. Defend first, ask questions later, in the same way that men will defend their friends for accusations. Whether they know what happened or not, they'll be like, no, my guy would not do that. It's the same thing with white people. When I was in high school, we had a sub that called the only Hispanic student in our class the B slur. I was talking about it after school that day in front of the principal's office. His window was open and he overheard our conversation talking about the sub using this slur. And he comes running out, and instead of being like, what happened? Are you guys okay? I was with that student. We were talking about it in a group. He was like, don't you ever talk about that here. Don't you ever talk about that in front of my window. Get out of here before I call your parents. It was very stern. And this was when I was a senior in high school. Again, he didn't even know what happened. He just immediately assumed that we were just a bunch of delinquent kids, or he didn't even care if she did use this slur. Very telling, his instinct was to defend this woman's racism instead of the student who was being discriminated against.
This is your daily reminder. It's not enough to be not racist. You need to be actively anti-racist, and that includes calling people out on their microaggressions and how they contribute to a system of discrimination and oppression that's existed for hundreds of thousands of years. It's not enough to say this person's not racist. What are they doing to dismantle the system? Are they educating themselves and listening to people of color when they say that something is offensive? Are they checking themselves on their own privilege on a daily basis? Here's a secret. Every white person is racist. You were raised in a system that favored you and did not favor minorities. So yes, you are racist. So am I. So is your mom, your dad, anyone who's white. Because we grew up in a system that made that normal. My question for you is, what are you going to do about that?
So you're not racist, right? You're not racist. So you understand, because you're not racist, that we live in a world where, historically speaking, it has been advantageous for people to say, do, and actually believe some racist things. But you're not racist. So you...
And that's the thing. You have to recognize that you were raised in a world where you don't seem to recognize that there is racism there, or that you continue to ignore the racism, or that you were born in a world of privilege. When you don't realize it, or you don't accept it, or you say, no, we're equal. No, I never had any kind of advantages. You haven't faced your implicit biases. You haven't faced them.
You know that when somebody says, hey, that was racist, that's not a personal attack. That's them asking you to think about, okay, that thing I just did, was it appropriate? And why do I think it's appropriate? And sit with that uncomfortable feeling for a few moments before responding. Because it's not a personal attack, because you're not racist and you know that, so you don't feel like you got to be on the defense.
In recent years, the terms not racist and anti-racist have become increasingly prevalent in discussions about race and social justice. While both terms may appear to have similar meanings, there are significant differences between the two. Being not racist implies a passive stance that involves refraining from engaging in racist behavior or espousing racist beliefs. In contrast, actively anti-racist involves taking an intentional and consistent stance against racism and actively working to challenge and dismantle systemic racism. To be not racist is simply to avoid being overtly racist. This may include avoiding using derogatory language, making derogatory comments or jokes, or discriminating against people based on their race. People who identify as not racist may still benefit from a system that is inherently racist, and they may not take any steps to address the systemic issues. On the other hand, actively anti-racist individuals are actively engaged in the work of challenging and dismantling racism in all of its forms. They acknowledge that racism is not only a matter of individual attitudes or actions, but is also deeply ingrained in structures and systems of our society. They work to understand the ways in which racism operates and seek to interrupt these systems of oppression whenever possible. This can include advocating for policy changes, supporting anti-racist organizations, and educating others about the impacts of racism. While being not racist may seem like a reasonable baseline for decent behavior, it is ultimately an insufficient response to the ongoing problem of racism. Racism is not just a matter of individual actions or beliefs, but a systemic problem that requires active, ongoing intervention. Simply avoiding overtly racist behavior does nothing to address the underlying structures and systems that perpetuate racism. In contrast, actively anti-racist means working to dismantle these structures and actively challenging the ways in which they perpetuate inequality. The difference between being not racist and actively anti-racist is a matter of intentionality and commitment. While being not racist may seem like a good starting point, it is ultimately an insufficient response to the ongoing problem of racism. Only by actively working to challenge and dismantle the structures of racism can we hope to create a truly just and equitable society.
Well, I'm going to put it a different way. I'm not going to say that all people are racist. I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say is that most people have implicit biases. Most people do. Implicit bias is something most people aren't aware that they have. Whether they want to admit it or not, they have it though. It refers to the automatic thoughts, the automatic thoughts, assumptions, and associations our brain makes about people based on things like skin color, race, gender, age, appearance, etc. It's the automatic thoughts, assumptions, and associations that our brain makes about people of color. These biases operate in the background, and most people are not aware of those. That's why I always tell you all, I am always working on my implicit biases towards white people, towards other black people, towards Hispanic people, towards Asian people, whatever. These biases are shaped by what we grew up saying, hearing, absorbing from our culture, media, history, institutions, right? You don't have to be a bad person to have implicit biases. You just have to live in a society that has repeated certain messages long enough for your brain to internalize them, and you think they are true. Okay. What makes implicit biases so powerful is that it works without permission. You don't have any kind of thought about it. A person can genuinely believe in inequality and fairness and still react differently to people based on unconscious assumption. And that's how redlining still occurs to this day. That's how people get put into certain segments every day. Someone might clutch their purse when they get into an elevator, cross the street when they see somebody coming down the street that they don't like, be quicker to suspect wrongdoing. You missing a purse in the store, the first thing you do is run to the loud ass boys that's in the corner without realizing it though, because these reactions feel instinctive, normal. People often defend them as common sense. That's the word we always hear. These are common sense or just a feeling, when in reality, they are learned responses, implicit biases. They matter because it influences your behavior, not just your thoughts. It affects who gets hired, who gets promoted, who gets disciplined, who gets believed, who gets ignored. In healthcare, implicit bias can affect how seriously a patient's pain is taken, housing, how they get treated in school, in policing, the legal system. It can affect a whole host of things. One of the biggest problems with implicit bias is denial. That's the biggest problem. Lots of people think that because they're not openly racist or discriminatory, bias does not apply to them. No, I don't feel like that. No, I don't feel like that. But implicit bias is not about your intent. It's about impact. You can have good intentions all day long and still cause harm if you never question those implicit biases. Refusing to examine your biases does not make them go away. They are still there. It's allowed to operate unchecked. I don't want to say id or ego, but something like that to that effect. Facing them implicit biases is uncomfortable because it challenges how we see ourselves. It challenges you about how you see yourself. Most people want to believe they are fair and rational and they like people. Acknowledging your implicit bias can feel like admitting failure, admitting that you're a racist. So people avoid doing it. But recognizing your bias is not a confession of being a bad person. It's acknowledging of being human in a flawed system. When the one thing that I know for a fact that people have implicit biases. When people get into my chat and people start saying, we're all equal. I don't feel, I walk into a room and there's nothing different between me and you. We're all equal. When the person tells me that, then I know they have not explored their implied biases. They haven't explored implicit bias at all. Not at all. They haven't done any internal work whatsoever, because we're not all equal. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of the white race thinking that they're better than the black race, or more advantaged than the black race, means it's ingrained in you. As a white person, it's ingrained in you because you haven't been taught anything else. You haven't been shown anything else. Okay. So ignoring these implicit biases always allows that systematic racism and inequality to continue, even when overt discrimination is no longer acceptable. So when biases go unnamed, implicit biases go unnamed, it becomes normal. Oh, we're the same. Oh, I don't feel like that. I don't do that. People explain unequal outcomes as individual failure rather than structural unfairness. Now I'm the victim. According to them, now I am the victim. If I say it's unequal, they're going to say I'm a victim. It shifts the blame onto those who get harmed instead of addressing the systems and behaviors causing the harm itself.
From trying to educate racists that don't even understand that they're racist is that facts don't work on everyone. Some people don't argue for truth. They don't argue to learn, they argue to win. Life is about growing, life is about doing right. To grow, you must first be humble. And you're humble is when you have the ability to fact check your thought process. Notice this trend also just with people on the right in general. Like none of them fact check. They share things online, they spew this information left and right. And literally it just takes like 2 seconds to go online, fact check it, and what they're sharing is never correct. Or it's like partial truths that.
And this is why I know you have never thought or looked inside yourself, Tony Tigers. Because if you think Jasmine Crockett is the perpetual victim, then you're wrong. She just happens to speak out loud about what she sees. That's wild. She's a victim. Spent her whole life looking for evidence of racism. Her whole life. That's wild. Somebody, yet again, that comes into my chat who hasn't even did any kind of internal work. That's wild.
Don't explain the full picture. Have you ever met a racist that uses ChatGPT to fact check their thought process? Or a Republican that does that? Because honestly, that's something that people on the left are doing. They're utilizing these resources to get the full picture of things, to get a full understanding. I'm talking about white people in particular that want to understand the experiences of other people because their white privilege is the reason why they don't understand what they're going through. So when you want to understand what somebody's going through, when you want to question things, when you want to understand things, you research, you have a thought process, you challenge that thought process. You can literally type your thought process into ChatGPT and say, this is my thought process, blah, 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 blah. What do you think about this?
Yeah, why? That's an experiment. Why don't you all type your thought process into ChatGPT or Grok as a matter of fact, or Gemini, or any number of those things and see how that, does this make me racist, ChatGPT? I see somebody said something about spreading hate and racist rhetoric. Please put in the chat how Jasmine Guy spreads hate and racist rhetoric. I'd love to know.
ChatGPT is not a human being, so therefore they cannot lie. They don't take on one side or the other. They rely on data, real information to form their responses. Lots and lots of data. You try using ChatGPT scripted responses with a Republican, specifically a racist, which a lot of them are. Shut down. They run away. They try to manipulate the conversation, change the conversation, because they don't want to argue with data. They don't want to be open to being wrong. They want to argue with a human being who they deem lesser than them, or a person that defends people that they deem lesser than them. Who wants to argue with a literal computer with evidence-based facts, with data coming in at them? Definitely not somebody that doesn't want to grow and learn. If you want to grow and learn, you challenge your thought process. My question for you, why are facts so intimidating?
I was at a grocery store today and somebody was like, go back to where you came from. And I am back to Asia, 5 cities: Taipei, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and Tokyo. I'll see you guys there. I love you. Here it is. Ding, 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 ding. No, that's too Asian. That's okay. Whoa, beep, beep, beep. Is that good?
This one's for the white people out there. If you spend a lot of time on people of color's videos and in their comments, constantly defending yourself, saying that you're not racist, you're not racist, you're not racist, I'm going to tell you right now that the white friends that I do have don't spend a lot of their time that way, and they don't seem to have to be constantly defending that they're not racist. And I realize that the reason for that is that they're not racist. So if you are spending your time doing
eccentric, and this right here, don't come in my chat spreading gossip. Don't come in my chat spreading garbage. We've already debunked this, and you goofy because you don't understand it. You in here talking 2-point crazy. 13% of the population gets arrested. Goofy. 13% gets arrested. Goofy. For 80% of the crimes. Goofy. Go look up the statistic on the FBI website. Goofy. But don't be in here spreading garbage. Goofy. Unless you come with facts. I hate when y'all do that shit. You come over with garbage and you don't have no facts. Nothing based on jack shit. I just told you where to go to get that statistic. The FBI website is the one who has that statistic. Don't come over here spouting garbage.
a lot of that, having to defend yourself and say that you're not racist. You might have some racism in you and some traits, and all you got to do is self-reflect, acknowledge those things, and then be ready to learn and listen. Our history and our hurt is not debatable. So that, I hope that helps.
I'm just gonna say it, right? If more white people would stand up against racism, we could probably get it to damn near end, y'all. I'll stand up for it. I know racism isn't right, but I need more white people to jump on this train to help me take a stand against racism. There are white people out here, y'all, that's got people thinking that we are all racist, when that is not what's going on. So we have got to put a message out to take a stand against racism. Like, I will start it off. I don't care. I will stand alone in it if I have to. But if you're a white person and you're with me on this, help me push the content out. There's only one way to do this, and it comes with just being in unison. That's the only way. There is power in numbers, y'all. I don't care if you're black, Mexican, Indian, Asian, whatever it is that your race, ethnicity is. You don't have to be white for me to like you. And everybody else that feels this way, I need you to get on this train right now.
Black people who keep on getting shot and killed for no good fucking reason. And I, as a white fucking female, am fucking pissed about it. So this is the visual representation of that rage.
Why does a woman with skin color like mine choose to speak up for people whose skin color is different than hers? Here's my story. I grew up in Red State, Oklahoma, but it's important to note that I did not grow up in a racist household. I did not grow up hearing racist language, and I was brought up to believe that all are equal. The reason why I love people whose skin color is different than mine is because my life has been changed over and over again by them. It all started with my 6th grade basketball coach, who was black. My coach absolutely changed my life. He poured into me, he saw me, he understood me, and he spoke life into me. His family became my family, and any weekend that I could, I was over at their house. They would even take me to church with them on Sundays, and their church was mainly black. His daughter was my best friend and even grew up to be a bridesmaid in my wedding. He went on to coach me for 3 years. During those 3 years, he became a second father to me, and he is still in my life to this day. If you're a football fan, the man I'm speaking of is NFL great Dewey Selman of the Selman Brothers. No one has changed my life more than that man. Then we move along to my teen years, where I was close with my youth pastor, who was Native American, Comanche specifically. She made sure that we were deeply exposed to Native traditions. That meant she would take us to reservations. She would take us to Native American schools. We attended powwows with her. It was incredible. 9/11 happened when I was in college, and I went there to do some relief work not long after. I ended up working with a church out of Brooklyn, New York, that was an inner city ministry. I fell in love with New York City, and it wasn't long until I had moved there to become an intern with this ministry. During that time as an intern, I worked very extensively in the Bronx area with inner city kids. We worked in the Castle Hill and Soundview areas. That was an incredible time for me. I was able to meet so many different families.
A message for all of the young white men who may have identified with the theme of the Turning Point Youth Conference, theme that can really be summarized in one statement.
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
See, I'm 2 years older and about a century wiser than JD Vance, and like JD Vance, I'm a straight white married dad who grew up poor in red states. But unlike JD, I got to where I'm at thanks to hard work, luck, and a little bit of privilege. Meanwhile, JD Vance exists to be used as a puppet by billionaires to distract and poison an entire generation with a victim mindset. A mindset Vance now wears even more effortlessly than his cosplay beard and eyeliner. So please listen to me when I tell you this. I need you to be so much braver than this. I can rattle off the statistics about how 80% of Americans work for white CEOs, or how for every dollar of wealth owned by a white family, black families have 23 cents and Hispanic families have 19 cents. But if you're young or poor or both, you might say that those things don't specifically apply to you and you're still struggling. So I am just going to talk to you. Those billionaires don't give a shit about you. And that is why the entire Turning Point USA conference didn't focus on the working class policies that would help you get ahead, but instead focused on making you feel like a victim due to your identity. They need you to think everyone is a threat, so you don't come to the realization that these gaudy spectacles with pyrotechnics and music, where they simultaneously praise you while carefully guiding you to fuse your identity, your religion, your emotions, and your politics, so that if any one of those things is criticized, you reflexively and irrationally defend all of it, leading you to become incapable of separating reality from myth. These tactics are all purposeful forms of manipulation to trick you into believing that they are celebrating you when in fact they are intentionally poisoning you.
I have a question. How many people thought it was normal, rational, and never thought anything of what J.D. Vance said when he was at Turning Point? When he said, we don't want to be white men apologizing for being white anymore. Did anybody think that was anything other than normal? Did anybody put it in chat that you thought that was absolutely normal, that he would say that? And somebody please explain to me, why did he say that? I want to know why J.D. Vance said you don't have to apologize for being white men anymore. I need y'all to explain it to me. So you think I played those videos so you guys can apologize for being white? You think I played those videos so you need to apologize for being white? I don't think anybody on here said anything about you apologizing. What we said was non-white people need to recognize that they have implicit biases just like everybody else. And then their ancestors are the ones who started the whole race thing, then helped to dismantle it instead of ignoring it. So what does that have to do with apologizing for being white? When someone says, help us take this system down because this system is unfair for every person. How is that apologizing for being white? I'm confused.
People in disadvantage.
So me saying, stop doing that, white boy, that means that I'm racist because I said that? Because I think I heard Jasmine Crockett say that. So that's what you all consider someone who's racist if I call you white boy. Or if I say, well, those white guys over there, I don't think they should X, Y, and Z. Well, Donald Trump is a white guy that's in the office and blah, 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 in the office of the administration. Well, the administration has a lot of white men in the administration. Just because I name the fact that there are white people in those systems, that doesn't make me racist. I've heard that before from people. Just because I say white doesn't make it racist. Just because Jasmine Crockett says white boy or white men doesn't mean she's racist. I'm confused. I'm confused. Just because a person says a race or a color, you guys get upset all in arms because somebody said the word white? Are we kidding me? How many people say white boy? How many people say black boy? How many people say that actually? No, it wouldn't be considered racist. It wouldn't be considered. You would think it would be racist. We wouldn't think it would be racist.
Once I grasped.
Mad Rush, you come in here and you say dangerously dumb things every time you open your mouth. Every time you say something. Dems use DEI. Mad Rush, goofy, goofy, goofy. See, I'm only saying goofy because I don't like to say other thing. But you goofy, goofy, goofy. DEI only helped white women and gay men. Goofy, goofy, goofy. Let's say it again. Goofy, goofy, goofy. DEI only helped white women and gay men. Goofy, goofy, Mad Rush, goofy, goofy. So stop coming in here talking about black people having the advantage of DEI. Goofy, goofy, goofy. And I don't even need to express that. You need to go and look at the facts. Goofy, goofy, goofy. So stop saying black people got the advantage of DEI. Goofy, goofy. Man, people got to run shit inside. People got to hit you upside the head for you to go check out the facts. Did y'all hear that? If you're not looking to dismantle a system that benefits you, then you're complicit in racism. This is the part that y'all don't get as some white people. If you don't help dismantle the system that gives the advantage to you, then you are complicit. And I can't tell the difference between you and a racist. If you don't help dismantle the system that gives you the advantage, that means you are complicit. And I can't tell the difference between you and somebody who is racist.
Family member insisting that Charlie Kirk was a non-racist truth teller? Here's some evidence to help you start a productive conversation. In 2021, Kirk made a misleading video saying George Floyd's medical examiner said his death should be ruled an overdose. When AFP fact-check corrected...
No, that ain't racist at all, what you just said, Pat Yeager. That ain't racist at all. You see the shit you say? That wasn't racist at all. At all.
Did him showing that, in fact, the medical examiner had determined Floyd's death was a homicide. Charlie Kirk updated his Facebook and YouTube posts, stating, "To be clear, Baker qualifies George Floyd's death as a homicide. We regret any confusion this post may have caused." Apparently, Charlie did not regret causing confusion 4 years later when he said, according to the medical
Let's do a test. Mad Rush. Is everything equal now, Mad Rush? Put a yes or a no in the chat. Put a yes or no in the chat. Is everything equal now? That we don't need, you say everything is equal now, right? Put in the chat if you think the world is equal now. Is the world equal now? So If you think the world is equal now, what would you think the world would be if we didn't have civil rights or DEI or affirmative action? Just take all of that away. Would you think the world would be equal if you took it away? You started killing programs that help put DEI in place. You start dismantling the civil rights. If we're equal now, because a lot of y'all like to say we're equal now. If we're equal now and you take away the very foundation of what took us to be equal, then we won't be equal anymore. That would make sense, wouldn't it? If on the building blocks of us being equal is civil rights, and civil rights is a part of those building blocks, DEI and affirmative action is a part of those building blocks. Now we're equal, according to a lot of y'all. If you take those blocks away, we won't be equal anymore.
Examiner, he was drug overdosing in real time. That it wasn't because of the police officer, Derek Chauvin, that put his knee on the neck.
Okay, but he killed him.
Again, the county medical examiner disagrees.
Another of Kirk's more famous arguments was that black pilots can't be trusted. To prove this, Kirk told his audiences that United Airlines mandated that 50% of new hires be women or black.
What does that have to do with hiring?
Everything. DEI
I don't understand what you're saying, 23B Rad. Are we equal or are we not equal? That's the question that you have to answer. Aren't we equal? Because every time I get on here, people are saying, you don't need DEI, you don't need affirmative action, you don't need no help. We're equal now. You don't need none of that. So if we don't need none of that, and it's a part of what made us equal, if you take those things away, then we won't be equal again. That's wild. That's wild.
definitionally is that we will hire more of a race versus a different race. So, for example, United Airlines said that they either be women or black.
And your president has nothing to do with this. We gotta apologize for being white men. We gotta apologize. Us Christians gotta be protected. We want to dismantle all of the black things that we got going, knock down all the black statues, take away civil rights, take away voting rights, take away all of these things. And you keep saying we want to keep race alive. The left wants to keep race alive. That's wild. That's wild. This is why I keep talking about race, because you can't seem to get it through your head that when
connected this fact to a dangerous lowering of standards.
Every time DEI is implemented, the lowering of standards occurs.
But United Airlines never put a 50% quota on minority hiring. Here's what the United Airlines CEO actually said.
We have committed that 50% of the class of the classes will be women or people of color.
50% of Flight Academy students were to be women or people of color. Flight Academy students are years away from being hired as pilots. And the presence of more women and people of color in the hiring pool has no bearing on hiring standards, which haven't been changed. Kirk regularly lied about things people said, about statistics, in order to make his arguments sound factual. And because his followers weren't fact-checking, their attitude in the wake of his death has become that anyone reading racism into his regular commentary on black people just can't handle the facts. But often, there were no facts at all. Kirk's lies were used to baselessly demean and attack people. And so MAGA, that's why your non-MAGA friends are so upset. Just because something aligns with what we believe about a group of people doesn't make it a fact. This is a psychological problem we all face. So we all have to do a better job of arguing about the solutions to our problems based on facts from reputable pro-democracy sources. Consider Media Matters for America and their deeply resourced article, Turning Point USA's History of Racism and White Nationalist Ties. For over a decade, leaders in Kirk's Kirk's Turning Point USA and at its college chapters have used racial slurs and made statements in support of white power. TPUSA chapters have invited white nationalists to speak at campuses. And Kirk himself was a champion of the racist Great Replacement conspiracy theory. There are over 70 incidents chronicled in the article for you and your friends to argue over endlessly. But the point is, there's no counter-argument to be made. For each individual incident someone could argue isn't that bad, there's the reality of the undeniable pattern of racist speech and behavior. Combine that with all the lies, and maybe a different understanding of Kirk is possible to emerge. So check out the Media Matters article and my article, Nobody Understands Charlie Kirk, both linked in the bio, and be sure to follow for more healthy information.
So non-racist white people feel like it's not their responsibility because they didn't create racism. And that is true. That's absolutely true. But inheriting a system means inheriting responsibility, because you all inherited this system that puts you in power, that puts you above the other people that are here. This is not a Democrat or Republican talking point. This is a regular human being talking point. You do not have to build a fire to be responsible for putting it out when it's still burning. You do not. If you benefit from a system that harms other people, refusing to challenge it keeps it alive. Keeps it alive. And I said, when you're accustomed to privilege, which is what you as white people are, you're accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. And that's what we have with the DEI and the affirmative action and the civil rights. That made us equal. Most of the people in the chat would say, oh yeah, Charlie always said, no, we're equal. You don't need no more advantages. You don't need no more advantages now. You don't need no more DEI. You don't need no more affirmative action. We're all equal now, according to Charlie. But if those things like DEI, civil rights, affirmative action are part of the building blocks that helped us to become equal, that we stood on to become equal, when you take them away, we're not equal anymore. We're not equal anymore when you take those building blocks away. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality looks like oppression. So being non-racist is not enough. It's not enough. Not anymore. Neutrality is a system built on inequality, which always favors the system. Choosing comfort over confrontation is still a choice. It's still a choice. And it has consequences. Avoiding conflict may feel great, but kindness that allows people to harm other people is not kindness at all. Ending this racism requires something harder than good intention. Or I'm not racist, so I ain't gonna say nothing. But you got friends who are racist. Do you talk to your friends and say something? When they say something crazy, do you call them out? When you got a sister or brother or somebody who says something crazy, do you call them out? Or you just say, oh yeah, that's just my brother. He can say whatever he wants to. You don't say nothing. You just let it go. Neutrality in a system built on inequality always favors the shitty parts. Always. Ending racism requires something harder than you just saying, oh, okay, I just let him say whatever. It requires courage, deliberation. It requires disagreement. It requires you know what? I tell this story to a lot of people. You know what? When my sister brought home a Mexican boyfriend, he was a Mexican boyfriend. My sister brought him home, Mexican boy. My dad, you call him Jose. Jose, when Jose coming over? You dealing with Jose? You dealing with a Jose? Blah, blah, blah. You dealing with a Jose? My father would say that all the time. And every time I would turn him up, every time I would look at him and say, don't call him that. His name is Dave. Don't call him that. Don't call him Jose. I understand that you're raised like that, Dad. Don't call him that. I look my dad straight in the face and say, don't call him that. His name is Dave. He would continue to do it, but I would continue to confront him. Don't do that. that young man became my brother-in-law. That Dave became my brother-in-law. Don't do that. Okay. Yes, that's why I know what it looks like, Tony Tigress, and you're very much in that column. That's how I know what it looks like. My father was that way, but my mother wasn't. Okay. Whenever he said, Jose, I said, don't call him that. And I was, when they were together, I was 22. Don't call him that. I'm not going to allow you to do that in front of me. I don't care whether you're my father or not. Don't call him that. It requires disagreement. It requires being willing to be seen as difficult, sensitive, or inconvenient. That's what it's going to take in order to get rid of this racism. When you let people say shit in front of you, when you let people do things in front of you, it requires risking that social discomfort. I don't give a damn. A lot of y'all come in here and call me names and say all kinds of shit. I ain't going to stop until I don't have people who want to be reasonable about being on this damn planet and who want to face racism head up, straight up. The truth is, racism will not end because racists change their mind. It will end when non-racist white people stop protecting it with the silence that they do. When they stop treating racism as something external instead of saying it's inside or it's positions that's comfortable to them. When they accept that responsibility does not mean guilt, but it does mean action. You do have to take action. You have to be conscious of it. No, not my party, Hunt Mad Rush. Your party. Your party. That's the problem. You don't recognize your party. You don't recognize your president as racist. You don't recognize your president as racist. You don't recognize your party. Nobody's talking about anything racist on our side. Not one. We have a whole inclusion of people. All of that comes from your side. We're going to cut DEI. We're going to cut affirmative action. We're going to cut civil rights. We're going to make sure people can't vote. We're going to gerrymander all of the black people out of their seats. Yes, that shit is racist. That shit is racist. Your party is doing that. Your party is doing that. Our party is not. Your party is doing that. And as long as you sit there and say, no, our party ain't doing it. Our party ain't doing it. No, it's your party. Then you lost too. That's the problem. And that's why we're going to get hit in the head with this shit every day.
Okay, so the whole Turning Point USA thing is hot. And I mean hot with a capital high for those of us who are Jewish. The fact that Tucker Carlson is up on stage talking about how anti-Semitism is wrong, while in his real life he's peddling the most ridiculous anti-Semitic conspiracy theories you have ever heard, is beyond laughable. But more importantly, the very idea that what could break this America First MAGA movement are Jews and Israel is unbelievable. If that is what actually breaks this movement, you will see me laugh like no one has ever laughed, because I guess turns out we really do control everything. Who knew? No space lasers needed, friend.
So nobody's speaking out when they hear, nobody's saying a goddamn word when your president gets on TV talking about, we don't want those people in here. We don't want the Somalians. The Somalians are garbage. They're garbage. They come from a garbage country. Blah, blah, blah. Not now one of y'all speaking about that. That's racist. You ain't got one Democrat on TV talking about anything that's racist. Not one goddamn TV. Not one goddamn Democrat is on TV talking about, we don't want those people in here. We don't want those we don't want them poisoning our blood. We don't want them poisoning the blood of the country. That's racist. Not now one black person has said, or I'm sorry, not now one Democrat has said anything like that. Name one. Name one person on our side that has said anything like that at all. I'll wait. Y'all can't never come up with none, but it's always about the Democrats that are racist, but it's your party saying all that crazy shit.
States of America, you don't have to apologize.
Y'all don't have to apologize for being white. That's a racist statement. It's racial, not racist, but it's racial.
For being white anymore.
Since when did white people have to apologize for being white?
I don't know.
That's never been a thing. White people have never apologized for being who they are, unless JD means that white people don't have to apologize for being racist anymore. That would make sense to me. I think that we have to understand that these people want to do things with impunity. Now, that's not all white people, because some white people ain't built like that. But there's certain white people, white men and women in this country that want to be able to do things with impunity. So it makes sense when JD says people don't have to apologize for being white anymore, because I truly believe he means that people don't have to apologize for being racist anymore.
Yeah, is that what he mean? Is that what he mean? People don't have to apologize for being racist anymore. That ain't what he said, but what he meant was, yeah, that's the way we took it. That's the way most people who are not racist took what J.D. Vance said. I don't have to apologize for being racist anymore.
That's what it is. Most of these people just want to do things with impunity. That's what this is all about. They want to be able to say racist things, do racist things, be bigots, do all kinds of racist, debaucherous shit, and nobody questioned them about it. They're tired of being apologetic for being racist. That's what this is about. Because being white in itself is not anything to apologize for. They want to be victims. They're trying to make themselves out to be victims because nobody is allowing them to be as racist as they really want to be. And that's not all black people, that's not all white people, that's not all white people. But there's a certain group out there that really want to be super racist. They want to go back to the times when their forefathers were able to do things with impunity. The buzzword of this week is impunity. Turn themselves into victims, say things like, we don't have to apologize for being white if white means being racist. If white means being a racist piece of shit, they don't want to have to apologize for any of that.
Think about Charlie Kirk.
So I was 30 to 40 feet away when he got murdered. I obviously think it's a tragedy. It's horrific that happened to him. I obviously don't think he was like a good person. I disagree with him. Obviously, we have very opposing political ideologies. We debated on multiple circumstances. But obviously, I think it was a tragedy what happened to him.
Why wasn't he a good person?
Well, I believe that he was racist. I heavily disagree with his particular perspectives, like on Christianity, enforcing that in the law. So like obviously I would point to like those things.
How was he racist?
Well, he was racist specifically because he said that people who are black, literally just flying planes, that he would think that they're unqualified just because they were flying the planes. And you're going to respond with, oh, well, he was just referencing DEI. But even in the instances where you're referencing DEI, you still have to meet certain qualifications to be able to be a pilot in the first place. You have to go through the licensing. You have to get all of that criteria in the first place. So an airline having specific determinations on who can be the specific pilot does not change whether or not they're qualified. So I'm questioning that they're qualified, I think in of itself, just because of the fact that they're black, is definitely racist. I can point to other circumstances as well.
So you think he was just questioning if they were qualified because they were black and that was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't he pointing that DEI did lower the standards, or?
Well, I just addressed that, and it didn't lower the standards because you have to meet a set of criteria to get a license to fly. It's just the airlines specifically increasing the pool of people that would be applicable to get the job, right? They had to be qualified to be a pilot in the first place. You think people are flying planes without the pilot's license and on commercial airlines?
If you really believe in this idea, think about where it leads you.
Apparently Charlie Kirk did. You already have to have the qualifications in order to be a pilot. You already passed all the tests, did everything that you needed to do. So he was qualified, or they were qualified just like any other person was qualified. That was the goofy part. I just didn't get that. Charlie Kirk was definitely a racist.
To believe that Donald Trump is less of an American than Joe Biden because Donald Trump's mother was an immigrant and his grandfather was an immigrant. That doesn't make any sense. Leads you to believe that somehow Bernie Sanders is more of an American than Senator Bernie Moreno from my home state, an America First patriot, because Bernie Moreno was a naturalized citizen from Colombia. It makes you think that Marco Rubio, our great Secretary of State, is somehow less of an American than Elizabeth Warren because she's a Native American, which we all know, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's loony. It's crazy talk. It makes you believe that somehow I am less of an American than the transgender criminal who assassinated Charlie Kirk. We refuse to accept that. The idea that a heritage American is any more American than another American is un-American at its core. And I will fight to the very end for that because that's what it means to be an American. We believe in ideals. That is who we are.
Okay, I'm at my school's club carnival right now, and fucking Turning Point USA is actually here. And I think we all know just how great Turning Point USA actually is. So, okay, hold on. I have a meme based off them. It's an anti-Ben Shapiro one. It reads, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claims she supports equal opportunity for all, yet she's refused to go on a date with me multiple times. Leftist hypocrisy. So yeah, we're going to see how this one goes.
One chapter at this university has been banned following a new apolitical club policy. This story is very interesting, so definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, so Vanguard University recently implemented this new policy that prohibits clubs with specific political or religious orientations. Now, unfortunately, this includes the Turning Point chapter, which has stood for 2 years at Vanguard University. So in the new handbook for 2025 to 2026 at this private Christian college, it says that groups organized around religiously, politically, or ideologically driven social issues will not be approved as student clubs or organizations. Now, the Turning Point group was banned despite already being an established campus organization. Now, according to the chapter president, Sadie Burnett, administrators at the university refused to reapprove the Turning Point group after 4 months of discussions. According to a statement that Burnett provided to Campus Reform, the new policy is detrimental to students and campus culture. She says that, quote, universities are championed as centers to exchange ideas and engage in political discourse. If that sentiment is taken away, what is left to celebrate? Given the anti-conservative culture on college campuses across the nation, this approach is dangerous and breeds violence. Politics cannot be taboo. I agree with this 100%. We're going to continue calling these things out at campusreform.org, so make sure to give us a follow.
I'm tired of these racist policies, racist actions by my county government. Voter suppression is an act of violence. It's in the long tradition of what Ben Boswell calls white terrorism, as in the Middle Passage, chattel slavery, police brutality, redlining, mass incarceration, gerrymandering, sundown towns, lynchings, urban renewal, Jim Crow laws. White people have been terrorizing black people for over 400 years, and we've got to stop it. Thank you.
White people didn't create racism. That's not what I'm saying. But white people have benefited from it the most. And that reality comes with responsibility. I'm sorry, it does. Responsibility does not mean guilt for the past, but it does mean accountability in the present. When a system advantages you by default, choosing not to challenge that system is not neutrality, it's participation. Okay? Racism will not end because people of color explain it better, suffer quietly, or work twice as hard to overcome it. It's got to end when white people, especially those who see themselves as fair and non-racist, decide that silence is no longer acceptable to this whole thing. Progress has never been driven by comfort. Things have never changed because we sat back and didn't do anything. It has always required people with power to be willing to give some of it up. Remember how we got out there 10,000 strong in that No King protest? People got out there and did that No King protest. The same thing has to happen with non-racist people. They have to get out there and they have to talk and they have to speak and they have to stand up to that injustice. White people have the access. We don't. Credibility. The influence in spaces where racism is often denied or minimized. Because we got people right here talking about, no, the Republican Party ain't racist. Yes, it is. We can all see it. That's why black people don't feel comfortable going over there, being comfortable going over there and trying to be a Republican, because it's too racist. You got Nick Fuentes, you got plenty of Nick Fuentes, and you got plenty of Tucker Carlsons, and you got plenty of hate speech people in that TPUSA. And you have plenty of ministers talking about black people can come over to our churches, but they can't be niggerish when they come. And we got plenty of people in Ohio who say that crazy shit to Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay? So that is where your responsibility lies. Speaking up in those spaces matter more than performative outrage in public. Okay? Challenging friends, family, co-workers, policies, and institutions is uncomfortable. I get it. I do. But discomfort has never been more harmful than this injustice. Being non-racist is not enough. It's not enough. Believing the right things is not enough. Good intentions do not dismantle these systematic systems. Action does. Okay? Racism survives because too many people who know better choose to not act when it's convenient. Okay? Socially risky or emotionally hard, it still needs to be done. The responsibility of white people today is to listen without defensiveness, like the people in the chat. You can't listen without being defensive. Can't listen without being defensive. They need to examine those implicit biases to interrupt racism when it shows up, and accept correction without resentment. It is to understand the fairness with sometimes feeling the loss when you have been unfairly advantaged. Because you as white people have been unfairly advantaged. Nobody has the advantage. You have the advantage. You have had the advantage. Okay? And you got to choose justice anyway. Okay? History will not remember who felt offended or who felt uncomfortable. It will remember who stood up when it mattered. Did you stand up when you heard Donald Trump say, we don't want those trashy people here? We don't want those people, those garbage people, Somalian people here? When you know, and I know, that this country is more diverse, more interesting. If this country was just all white, it would not be as interesting or entertaining if all of us left. I don't want a world where it's all black people. I don't want a world where it's all white people. I like the diversity. I like the diversity of all these people. I like to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I love the fact that some of you white people funny as hell. Some of you black people funny as hell. Some of you Mexican people funny as hell. I like the diversity. I don't know where we got to the point where we started hating diversity, where we started hating people that look different from us. I just don't understand how we got this far. It's not a matter of white people causing racism, but whether they will finally use their position to get rid of it, to help end it. Silence helps build this world. Speaking up is how it gets changed. We cannot allow it to continue. We have too much going on the line. We have too much going on the line. We have to start doing something to change this rhetoric, to change these narratives. Okay. And the whole point is, people are saying, oh, we're American. No, motherfucker, I'm American too. I'm Black American, but I'm American too. You're no more American than I am. We are the same. I didn't come, my parents, my relatives did not come here on no boat as no slaves. My parents came from Indians. People who were Native American, native to this land. They were here already. Okay. My ancestors came from France and Indian. That's on my Indian on my mom's side, French and Indian on my mom's side, and my dad's side was somewhere European or something. Okay. So no, I'm more American than most people. Okay. So I'm not disputing whether you're American, and you shouldn't be disputing whether I'm American because I'm not white American. That's a part of that racist society we're talking about. That's a part of that racism that needs to go away. That's a part of it that needs to take a hike. And everybody want to demonize the immigrant because the illegal immigrants didn't make this country bad like this. Our leaders made it bad like this. Our leaders did this to us. That's wild. Now we blame the immigrant for everything. Now it's the immigrant that done did everything. But it don't make sense. I hope y'all been hitting the like, share, and subscribe button because I have content like this every day. I might be back later. I don't know. Just depends on if I want to. I might. I don't know. But, we might do. I did have another show lined up for this evening. That's at 9 o'clock. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all of that. Okay? I appreciate everybody showing up. Of course. Later on, I'll be back later on, but it might be later than 9 o'clock because I like the midnight hour. I don't know why, but I like 11, 12 o'clock at night when everybody quiet and then you can just say some shit. I don't know. We might have a call-in show tonight. People call in, and the name of the show is corporate. The corporations is getting rich and they stepping on the middleman. They stepping all over the middleman, and maybe I had people call in and say, "What the hell can we do? What the hell can we do to help the middle class people?" Oh shit! Hold on. Wait a minute. I got something. Hold on. I'm going to post this every chance I get. Okay, because people. Hold on, y'all. Wait 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Here we go. Hold on. 1 second. I gotta put this up because I gotta help all the people. What is it? Is it an image file? Okay, here it is. Right here. Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta take one thing away. Can y'all see that? Hopefully y'all see that. And I'm gonna post it every time I have a show because I know the links work. So you just gotta go there and see X, Y, and Z. Maybe. Okay. And see what's going on. See if you need help. There you is. It is what it is. I please and thank you. And I might be back at the twilight hour. We might have a call-in show, or it might be a panel. Somebody might want to come onto the panel. We never know. But I appreciate you all. I made this up because these two companies loan people money. If they got a job, you can get that like chump change. Hey, middle class, that ain't no chump change, Robin. That right there ain't no chump change. What do you mean? I'm talking about without any kind of headache. 5 minutes after you do the application and the application gets into the office with the people, they send you the $3,000 within an hour. That's what I'm talking about. And where the hell have you found that? Nowhere. So I'm saying take the information because I know that it works. I appreciate y'all. I might be back 8, 9 o'clock. No, I might be back at 11, 12 o'clock.